Hey guys, so I've been playing a lot of Sekiro lately, and it's definitely been a fun game, but as it is a From Software game, and I tend to suck at those, I was looking for some easier ways to kill some of the bosses, and I found one cheesing technique for that works for two of the bosses, the seven Ashina spheres, and Tokujiro the Glutton, which is this Jurzo, the drunkard, but a lot harder and has monkeys to help him. Um, what you're going to want for this is you're going to want the flame vent prosthetic tool and oil. Oil you can get relatively easily in the game. You know you can acquire it at shops and shit, and I think you can also find it on the ground. But the flame vent prosthetic tool you get from Harada Estate, and that should be, you should already have that, but if you don't, you go to the Harada Estate. I'll show you where. You go to the Harada Estate and you go to the estate path, and then all the way on the right is where you'll go. It's on the main path and you really can't miss it. It's in a bonfire surrounded by some bandits and wolves. But the skill you're going to want is the prosthetic art midair prosthetic tool. In the gameplay I show, I don't have it yet because I just never spent any of my upgrading points on it, but it really does help. You can cheese the bosses without it, but I would just recommend using it to make it a lot easier. So here we are at Ashina Reservoir. I just realized that all of the clips that I recorded, I was talking to my friends and weren't really talking about Sekiro, and so just for the sake of this video, or really this like boss guide, I'm just gonna take the clips of them out. I killed the guy right there, and then I killed the panhandler right over here. If you go over to the left, you can go to another non-optional area. That's how you get to the lone swordsman, which you will need to fight later, but I don't really have a cheesing video for him because he was hard enough as it was, and I didn't see anything that could really help me. If you take this path kind of like at the beginning of the game, it does change a little bit, but not much. You can still take relatively the same path that you did to get to the tower in the beginning of the game, if I remember correctly. But basically, what you're gonna want to do is when he starts attacking you, you want to back up and like it might take a couple tries to get him to fall down, but you can actually get him to fall into this area where I'm gonna be climbing up in a second. This area right here is actually part of the boss fight arena, but he won't always fall down there. You can, I believe, if you get his back facing um, the cliff, you can get him to fall down there. But I was just got lucky, and he tried doing one of his long range unblockable attacks, and he fell out. Now, as you can see, I'm throwing the oil and then applying flame vent, and then just as soon as I do that, try to get a couple hits in because it should instantly stun him, and then just start wailing on him as much as you can. But see right there, I did manage to get him in. Um, to a little tiny arena spot before falling off, but luckily enough, I do spawn right next to the grapple area. You do want to be careful though, because if you like army and didn't get the midair prosthetic jump tool, then it makes that fight a lot more challenging, especially if you don't have a lot of healing gourds, because you'll be doing what I'm doing and just trying to apply the oil and get right up next to him before I can use the flame vent. If you can upgrade your flame vent early on in the game, I would suggest that because that does also help for these two fights. But this is basically the whole entire fight, and what you're gonna want to do is you're just gonna want to keep applying oil, and if you and getting close to him and flame vent. But if you want to play it safe, definitely use the midair prosthetic jump, and I highly suggest using that because I think that that is a lot like easier and makes this fight a lot easier. Although you do gotta watch out because right here I do somehow manage to get hit and lose all of my health, and I have to use my resurrect. So do kind of watch out for those. If you're locked onto them, do kind of watch out for those attacks because those will kill you. And other than that, that is basically the rest of this fight. And the same is going to be for Tokujiro as well, but I'll get to that in a moment. That's going to require a few other, not really necessities, but other things that are going to help you with the fight. Now here we are at Ashina Depths. I do have a little tiny shortcut if no one really noticed this when they were playing the Tokujiro fight. I only realized this when I was kind of exploring the whole mist area because I didn't know where I was going. On the bottom, over this tree that I'm jumping on, there is a headless fight, so be careful not to fall down to there. Headless are kind of one of those endgame type enemies. But over here, there are a couple ghosts that will try to like snipe you if you're not fast enough with this. I had it happen to me a few times. Um, but you're just gonna want to kind of shimmy this wall. One thing that I did kind of forget to mention with this fight is I also recommend having the shuriken. You can just use the basic shuriken tool. You don't need to have it upgraded at all. But it does help with these monkeys right here. I try to draw their attention, but really what you can do just to clear those guys out fast is using just throw a couple shurikens at them. They're only, I believe, one spirit emblem. I kind of take a little damage, I think, right before this. But you throw a spirit emblem at, or use a spirit emblem, they'll be literally one hits. If they attack you, then you should have one of the abilities by now that allows you to gain health back after a death blow. And then this sniper monkey over here, I did have to use an extra one, because he doesn't always like to lock on. But with the Tokujiro fight, it's relatively the same as the Seven Spheres, only you can get him to, like, if you do what I do, you can get him to stop locking on, and you can sneak behind him if you grapple onto this branch over here. You see me use a pellets, and right before the fight, I do use a Toko Sugar to increase damage. I don't believe that the sugars, however, increase how much prosthetic damage you do. I don't think that's a sugar. Uh, but you can get the stealth kill on him. However, after um, you're gonna want to instantly grapple up to here, and then again with the Seven Spears fight, it's gonna be the basically the same tactic. You kind of see me right now just wailing at him using this sugar because that is a little bit before I found out that I could actually cheese him like this. I end up using one of my deaths and grappling up just to give it a fucking try because it's like, you know what, whatever. Here I'm wailing on him. I almost got killed right there before I decided to grapple up here because I did not actually know that there was a grapple up. And that's when I basically discovered this. And here I go to put on the oils for this fight. But I don't believe he has any moves that kind of hit you in the ground that you have to worry about, unlike the Seven Spears. Um, but here I am putting on flame vent. But sometimes he does spit poison air, like a poison AoE at you, and you do gotta watch out for that because that can deal some damage to you, and it's a relatively big AoE. Um, but he does not do it often. If you do try to get extra damage in when you go down to attack him, then do watch out because he tends to immediately do a grab attack or a really heavy attack. That's what makes him a little harder than the babier version or the easier version of this fight. I'd honestly say that they're both equal, but you can normally get some whales in on him if you hit him a couple times, and then I'd say about 2, 3 max. If you use whirlwind slash, you can normally get like same amount of damage in and then retreat. But yeah, that's basically the entire fight. Here he is with his poison breath. That's what you want to watch out for. I don't think it normally reaches, but this is also where using the prosthetic midair tool helps because you don't need to worry about jumping down and have to take instant damage. You can just do that. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you next time.